Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for May 23rd, 2024. Well, I hope everyone had a great evening and ready for another day of the market. Let's take a look at what happened overnight here real quick. And I apologize, I'm just running through a bunch of tickers, so there's not much exciting here to show as I do this. But Asian markets mostly lower last night, with the Nikkei surging up 1.26%. Well, the rest of the markets were down. As a matter of fact, Hong Kong had the worst of it last night, being down 1.70%, really reacting to the Fed's higher for longer message out of the FOMC minutes. If we take a look at European markets this morning, European markets, on the other hand, are bullish across the board. They ended up closing bearish yesterday, but really getting a pop of enthusiasm here after the NVIDIA earnings. So looking green across the board there this morning, trying to recover. U.S. futures are also in the green this morning, with the Nasdaq up huge, nearly 1% here first thing this morning, looking strong. I guess there is one stock that rules them all. To quote a movie, one stock that rules them all, and that would be NVIDIA at the moment. Let's take a look at our oil. Oil had a rough day yesterday, down substantially, but we've got a rebound coming in here in oil this morning, up 70 cents a barrel at 78.26. Brent is up 73 cents a barrel at 82.63, and natural gas is just a little bit lower this morning. It's been on quite a tear to the upside and probably needs a little bit of rest. If we take a look at our precious metals are down across the board. Gold had a really rough day yesterday as the dollar continues to strengthen, and all of these precious metals have been pushing to the upside pretty strongly, and they're all moving just a little bit lower here this morning as well, gapping on down as the dollar seems to be continuing to strengthen. Now, that being said, we have kind of a mix going on here in the cryptos. Bitcoin at this second being down $18 a coin, but there is a mix of some up, some down here this morning, so keep a close eye on that. So let's take a look at our bonds. Currently, bond prices hanging in there, pretty stubborn. The 2-year bond is at 4.86%. It moved up yesterday after the FOMC minutes. We have the 10-year bond at 4.42% and the 30-year bond at 4.54%. So what does all that mean for today? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Thursday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's try to shake off a little bit of bias. Let's take a look at the charts for what they are, not for what we want them to be, and see if we can gain a little bit of information about how we might want to approach the market for today. Well, first off, let's take a look here in the Dow. Although the Dow had a pretty substantial pullback yesterday with, worries of higher for longer, I find it really interesting that we have a parade of Fed members over 2 weeks say higher for longer, but the market doesn't believe it. And then we get the minutes from a past meeting and we go, oh my gosh, they really mean higher for longer. And and we sell off pretty strongly. So the diamonds did break down just a little bit yesterday, pushing lower. But as you can see, at the moment, we're holding on to this trend. Now, I guess it all depends on how you draw that trend. whether that would be the case for you, but looking at this, you can see we did come down and touch that trend and kind of hang in there on that. And we're trying to pop up this morning here with that enthusiasm coming in from NVIDIA. Now, taking a look, we've got a little bit of price support in here as well. So if the bulls can follow through to the upside, then we're going to start looking at this resistance level here first. Can we break through that resistance level? And I think there's every reason to believe they could. There's so much enthusiasm in the market right now to just buy. We don't want to look at any of the consumer numbers. We don't want to see that there's problems on the horizon. Even Jamie Dimon is coming out today and saying he can't rule out the possibility we're going to see a hard landing and stagflation in the U.S. But the market itself doesn't want to see that. They want to just pay attention to AI and big tech, and that's all that's really been moving the market here this week so far. If we see a breakthrough of this resistance, however, and a continued push to the upside, there's a little teeny tiny, if we draw the top side of these two candles and the underneath side of these two candles, a little teeny tiny resistance in there, but we could certainly push up into there and then right on up here for blue sky highs in the Dow. If the bears, however, were to find some inspiration, I think the next step lower to the downside would probably be a step that would be a little bit painful here for the market. We could come back down testing this area of the chart. And I think if we do that, if we were to push down here, break that trend, then we really do have a possibility that we could start looking for this 50-day moving average in the market. We'd kind of tip the scales just a little bit here, and we'd have that draw down toward the 50-day moving average come into play. Now, I can't say that's going to happen with the enthusiasm here of NVIDIA, but watch carefully if for some reason those bears do find reason in economic data or something today to make that push to the downside. If we take a look at our SPY, SPY, very, very strong this morning. Of course, NVIDIA is lifting all of the techs to the upside. Blue sky breakout here in this chart. This has been a very bullish chart after that consolidation. So no worries here. Blue skies above on S&P 500. Now, if we were to happen to catch a whipsaw today, and whipsaws certainly are possible in a market like this, so watch carefully for the possibility of this gap up this morning could bring in a little bit of selling, and if we have economic data that adds to that pressure, that's where we could run into some problems and whipsaw. And if we were to see those bears engage, test of that support would be the first area to be looking for. Second area would be the bottom of this consolidation, and then after that we would probably push down to retest these highs here in the chart. If we go beyond that level, we've got a little bit of gap here, and we would start pushing pretty hard to the downside. But I don't see that happening unless we have something major change here in the market. When we have 7 companies doing massive buybacks, they're lifting the entire indexes on their own. Now, if we take a look to the upside, blue sky above there on the SPY. If we look at the QQQ, continuing to stretch out here, made new record highs yesterday in anticipation of NVIDIA, with big tech doing all of the corporate buybacks, and continuing to make new record highs here this morning, gapping up, leaving a gap behind. Now, that's one of the reasons here you want to watch for that possible whipsaw this morning. We could gap up and then reverse just to fill that gap here in the chart. So blue sky above. If the bears were to find any inspiration here today, then once again, maybe filling that gap would be the first possibility to be watching for. We'd start watching for some of these high prints in here to push on down, and then we would be looking at this trend test in the chart. Now, pushing on beyond that, we're going to start looking at these progressive levels that would bring us back down into these areas. And certainly is possible, but we're going to need some data to reverse things here this morning. Maybe pretty unlikely here in the Nasdaq with tech buybacks and things going on. If we take a look at our IWM, well, IWM had a little bit of a rough day yesterday. We had rejected this big resistance area in the chart, and you can see I moved a downtrend line in here because technically that could set up as a lower high here in IWM. Remember, IWM's not going to get the benefit of NVIDIA or those tech giants, but we are trying to bounce up here this morning and show a little bit more bullishness in that chart just on that enthusiasm of the day. So what I would look for the bulls is a pushback up here, retest some of this resistance, see if we can break through that, and if they can, breaking back up here to retest this resistance in the chart. Breaking through there, of course, you know, that's a big deal. That's that multi-year resistance level, and then we'd have to prove that we could hold that up there. Now, if the bears were to find inspiration here, pushing this down, I would suggest we would retest this little support area here in the chart on IWM. Beyond that, we're probably pushing on down to more of these major areas in the chart. Breaking down through here, however, could raise a little bit of concern possibly in the market, because we would be probably getting a pretty good tug on the 50-day moving average pulling us down if we start breaking down through those areas. Let's take a look at our VIX. Now, our VIX yesterday had a little bit of uncertainty coming into it. Now, I wouldn't really say fear. That FOMC raising the rates certainly raised a little bit of concern, but we were so hyped up and hopped up on anticipation of NVIDIA. No one could see any reason to be worried about the fact that inflation and slowing economy, slowing consumers is anything to be concerned about, because boy, we just can't get enough of tech. And you can see we still haven't broke that downtrend here in the chart yet either. So if the bears were to find enough inspiration today, then breaking back up through there might be significant. We'll want to watch carefully for that possibility. If we were to whipsaw, catch some data today to move those bears, but we just haven't seen a whole lot of energy in the bears at all. If the bulls continue to find that inspiration here today, continue to push, well, it is certainly possible we start taking out those lows here, in that we continue to seek this very complacent level in the market where everyone is in, and we're continuing to chase, particularly a handful of stocks to the upside. Let's take a look at our T21.22. Now, our T21.22 indicator had a nice pullback here yesterday. So the gap up that we're experiencing today would be a relief to this pullback in T21.22. So every reason to believe with the enthusiasm of NVIDIA that we could push back up here toward that bearish reversal zone if those bulls can continue to hold on, and we don't have economic data that kind of throws cold water on this potential rally. Now, if the bears were to find inspiration here today, you'll notice we have not quite an equal potential move, because we're close to that 50% area here in the chart. But a little bit of a downside is still possible if those bears find opportunity here in the market to press. Would seem kind of unlikely as long as the Nasdaq continues to rally, because we have really made all of our indexes a big tech sector, with the Dow being dominated by three of the major giants, and then of course the SPY and the QQQ all having the same tickers in their indexes. As long as they dominate everything, all the indexes can stay bullish. Let's take a look at our T2108. Now, T2108 pulling back here yesterday, as you can see, more stocks selling than going up. But I really didn't see any major problem here. The bears just don't have any energy at the moment. You can see still holding above that 50% area here, and we're going to bounce this back up today. I'm rather confident that we will bounce this back up. So as we push up, start watching these resistance levels in the chart. No harm here, at least at the moment. Now, we do still have this downtrend that we'll want to consider, but today, who knows, with the enthusiasm today, as long as economic data doesn't halt this and we don't whipsaw, we could easily see us break through that area here, again, with NVIDIA ruling everything now in the market. If we take a look at T2107 continuing to pull back here yesterday, but again, nothing of major consequence. The bears just don't have any energy. They're going back into hibernation right now, even as we head into summer. So watch that carefully here. I think there's every reason to believe with the big push today that we may be pushing back up here to test some of these resistance levels, and maybe even be seeing some of these high points here in the chart as we run back into a rather frothy area here in T2107. And then T2101, we can see the problem that we had yesterday with breadth declining. Our breadth continued to pull back, and then we hooked here on the bottom, which should have been a little bit of a concern going into the close yesterday, simply because we saw an improvement in the breadth after the FOMC numbers, and that was on the sell side here. So we'll want to watch that carefully. If this were to start moving up on a bearish wave, that certainly is going to be a little bit of a concern. But I think today there's a good chance we're going to see a breadth improvement, probably a lot of corporate buyback activity, and the celebration from NVIDIA continuing to fuel these indexes higher. And then if we look at our economic calendar here, our economic calendar here for today, the things that we're going to have to deal with here today are going to be jobless claims. Now, jobless claims, they're looking for about 220,000 here, according to a Condo Day calendar. Just remember that we are seeing a weakening in the consumer in a lot of places. A lot of the consumer-based companies have been mentioning this, that there's a problem, cutting prices, all these kind of things going on out there, creating some issues here with the consumer. If that continues to worsen, we're likely to see jobless claims jump up. Now, I don't know that we're going to see it this time, but I think there will be a day when we're going to see these jump up substantially if the consumer problem continues. So watch that carefully, and don't be surprised if we start seeing some of these jobless numbers starting to creep up based on that weakening consumer. Now, if it comes in hot, if that number comes in stronger than expected, meaning fewer jobs being cut, then look for those bond yields to go up, because that would really confirm to the market that the Fed is on the right track, holding rates higher for longer. Chicago Fed national activity numbers, we're going to have a PMI flash number in here. They're expecting PMI to come in just right in there, about middle of the road. Remember, anything above 50 shows growth in the market, the sector. Anything below 50 shows contraction. So keep an eye on those. They are expecting these to move up. Watch those closely, could move the market. New home sales are expected to decline slightly. Not a major surprise, the way the rates have been holding in there pretty strong. So watch that. We've got a natural gas report. We've got several bond announcements, a Kansas City manufacturing number, which I don't know that it matters anymore about manufacturing. Manufacturing has been in decline for so long. The market doesn't care. We don't care about manufacturing here in the United States at all anymore, as long as tech is doing well. So we've got a -8 here last time. We'll see if we can catch an improvement or something in our manufacturing. We've got bill auctions here today, and then a 10-year TIPS auction. Bostic will be speaking, and then the Fed balance sheet at the end of the day. Rolling into Friday, remember, we've got a 3-day weekend coming up. So rolling into Friday, we're going to be looking at durable goods orders. Waller will be speaking, consumer sentiment, Baker Hughes rig count, and then just remember, we're going to have some early closes here, just heading into that 3-day holiday. Let's take a look. Oh, and by the way, I want to let everyone know that I am leaving on a trip. Got to go to a wedding, and I will be leaving on a trip that I will be gone all of next week. I don't know if there'll be a chance for me to do any videos next week. We'll see. I'll do my best if I can. But I will be gone all of next week, and probably the early part of the following week, maybe Monday, Tuesday kind of thing, making my way back here. So just kind of keep that in mind. There may be about a week without morning market prep videos. We'll see what I can accomplish while I'm gone. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, guys, we better take a look at our earnings for today. I'm going to run through these really quick. We've got BJ here that will be reporting this morning. DAVA reporting today. HLNE. BEKE, MDT, MNRO, NTES, RL, SCVL, PITN, TGI, and WB. After the bell today, we'll be looking at Intel. We've got Lionsgate that will be reporting. We're going to hear from Ross Stores, STEP. One of these days I'll learn how to type, y'all. And then WDay will be reporting this afternoon. So those are the afternoon reports. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, do me that favor. Click that subscribe button on YouTube. Also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful, if you could do me that favor, and that would be click that thumbs up button and leave a brief comment. Thank you so much to everyone who does take the time to do that and share these videos out on your social media feed. That helps to continue the channel to grow, and I thank you so much for the kind support of the effort in putting these videos out. You guys are truly awesome. Just remember that even an emoji counts, because I know it does get kind of monotonous day after day writing a comment, but thank you everyone who does. It's really that engagement with the video that helps YouTube say, people are responding to this video, let's show it to more folks. So thank you very, very much for that kindness. I really, really appreciate it. Let's take a look at some of these stocks setting up. And remember, guys, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You've got to do your own due diligence. Be very, very careful in the market. And remember that we could have some volatility today with this big gap up in the Nasdaq and the data that we have coming today, watching for that potential of a whipsaw. That being said, let's take a look at a few things here this morning. First off, CPNG setting up a pretty nice pattern. I'm showing a little bit of weakness here in the pre-market on CPNG this morning. watch that carefully. I set a price alert on this, watching for that possibility. If those bulls can get going, they would pop that through that area here. So watch that one. As you guys know, I've been keeping a pretty close eye on PayPal, and PayPal had a rough day yesterday, but I'm watching this based on this weekly chart. So still no problem here for me on this because I want the longer term trade in here, and I'm still waiting to see if I can get a pop. So no harm, no foul. I have no skin in the game to speak of here. I've got a very small stock position, just to keep an eye on it. But yeah, no particular worries here if this fails. If it does come around and come through there, I'll probably be loading up a little bit on PayPal. So may have a little bit of a bias there. Just kind of keep that in mind. If we take a look at XLB. XLB had a little bit of a rough start yesterday, gapping down but pushing right back up. Keep an eye on those material sectors here. This could have this could be really, really important based on what those consumers are doing here in the market. But you can see this has been a very, very bullish pattern in here setting up, just looking for that little bit of energy to push us back up through and reattack these highs in XLB. I think that's worth keeping a close eye on. You guys know I have been talking about soybeans. You heard it here first, maybe. Talking about soybeans in this bullish pattern. Well, we got a little energy coming in here just recently into those soybeans. Not holding this little upside trend. I would keep an eye on soybeans, the possibility here that we could start to extend at any time soon. Holding up here, looking pretty darn good. And I have been noticing in some of the ag stocks some changes here. All of a sudden, Mosaic had a good day yesterday, really pushing up and running into some significant price resistance and a downtrend. So I'm not saying this is ready to turn around just yet. It is in a pattern that we like. It's called the round and bottom breakout pattern, but popping up into here, that's just the first step. We now need to prove that we can hold that 50-day moving average, and then I'd be looking for that next opportunity there on Mosaic. Keep an eye on that. I was looking at CF Industries, another ag related, having a really good move to the upside here. Once again, running into resistance, so not quite ready for prime time yet, but trying to deal with a 50 and 200-day resistance in here. If we could either pop through that unrest or rest it out here, dragging those moving averages out a little bit, then I would look for that next opportunity there on that. And then even Archer Daniels, ADM, starting to show those little signs. I like this chart quite a bit because of the conciseness of the price action. It's not as whippy, but you can see in here the possibility of a higher low coming into play after breaking this downtrend. So watch for that opportunity if those bulls were to start picking up and pushing through there. Now I'm going to use the same three letters. We're just going to rearrange them here a little bit. AMD is a very bullish chart here, and with the tech surge today, this might be the opportunity to pick up some AMD in here. Breaking back through this resistance here in the chart is significant. I can't rule out the possibility that this may still have to rest a little bit, but watch for that possibility that AMD could start pushing on higher here in the chart. Very nice pattern here overall. Now, for example, I look for those nice patterns. Things like Apple. Apple doesn't impress me at all. The fact that it's just zooming here doesn't impress me at all. I have no interest in a chart like that, but a chart like AMD that's rested, consolidated, setting up a nice bullish pattern there, that's what I would have much more interested in, and probably a higher probability entry into a trade. Now take a look, Caterpillar trying to make this move in here. We're resting back after rallying, and it'll look like it may have a real shot to just keep extending here just 3 days ago, but now we're resting this back again. Little pop, little pullback here. I think as long as Caterpillar can hold on to this support in here, it still has that opportunity that this could push and move. And that enthusiasm in the market today might be the day that we can push on up through here on Caterpillar. And I would keep an eye on Boeing. Boeing breaking my alert in here, moved up, still a little lethargic, resting in here in the chart. Remember, this is going to have a lot of proving that the corporate culture here is getting better and we're doing a better job with safety and those kind of things. So could still be very volatile and dangerous. But that being said, if this continues to rest out here toward this trend, I would look for that next opportunity to maybe push on through, break above that level in the chart. Watch that one closely and carefully. I still like TSM. TSM had a really big pop yesterday. As you guys know, I've been mentioning this for that possibility. Really popped hard yesterday. Any rest or pullback in here might set up the next opportunity in the trade. Notice as we stretch away, didn't mean to grab that line, as we stretch away from a trend here in the chart, we sometimes rest back. Watch that closely. And I'm going to say the same thing for things like Pfizer. Pfizer had a really good day yesterday, popping up. Now, I have a bias in this because I am holding a longer term position on this trade. And you can see as this has been developing, we got this little weekly head and shoulders pattern starting to come together here in that chart, pushing up. I think any rest, consolidation, or pullback in here would set up that next opportunity. You can see the break of the downtrend has occurred, and we just made that nice lower high as we, or excuse me, higher low as we pulled back, tested that support, bounced off of it. I'd keep an eye on Pfizer. And J&J was another one yesterday that had a good day. Something was going on here in the drug maker area, but a little pushback here, found that support, then that explosive move to the upside. Watch that carefully here in J&J. Still looking overall pretty darn good. Alcoa continues to look really good. Although we've rested back to this trend and support, I would watch for the possibility that this could slip this trend and come back to this longer term trend. Here, watch for that possibility, but I'd be watching for that next opportunity here in Alcoa, particularly if we start to see the dollar weaken. So keep a close eye on that dollar. So there's a few stocks for you to pay attention today, something to watch. Running this video a little bit long. Thank you so much for being here today. I want to wish you all the very, very best and wish you a profitable day. And as always, be safe, be careful, and I'll see you right back here bright and early Friday morning. Take care, everybody.